People of the internet, the Joe Rogan political purge has begun. And today we're going to look at one of the first things he is doing. He has heard the backlash. He has saw the drastic drop in views. And Joe Rogan is trying to go back to his centrist everyman ways. And this is one of the first things. Let's look at it. And this is on our Joe Rogan on Reddit. All political posts, not comments, are now banned on our Joe Rogan. That's right. You can no longer talk about political things because I think it's gotten to be too much. But let's read on. Hey all, today we are making the decision to ban all political posts. Comments are still fair game indefinitely. After careful consideration, internal discussion, and tons of external feedback, we have collectively decided that our Joe Rogan is not the place for politics anymore. Isn't that interesting? They wanted to play politics to make that money, to promote agendas of people they wanted to support / paid them. And now all the backlash has gotten too much and they don't want to play the political game anymore. Can you believe it? Could anyone predict this would backfire on them? I mean, I'm not smart enough. I didn't see it coming at all. This is shocking, actually, that politics backfired on a guy that wasn't involved in politics. Never would have seen it. In my life, I've never seen it, so completely shocked here, folks. We have always treated this subreddit like it belongs to you, the JRE listener. It is the philosophy that has led us to make this change. For too long, guys, for too long, this subreddit has been overrun by users who are pushing a political agenda, both left and right, and that stops today. Let that sink in, folks. You know, there were people on his subreddit pushing an agenda. And, you know, that's fair because did Joe ever really push an agenda? I mean, honestly, I can't think of a single time Joe was pushing an agenda. I mean, maybe it's just me, but he seems like the most honest, down-to-earth man that I've ever known. You know, JRE, can you put me on the podcast, brother? Please. I'm begging you. It's my lifelong dream. Anyways, it is not lost on us that Joe has become increasingly political in recent years and that his endorsement of Trump may have helped him get him elected. That said, we are not equipped to properly moderate, arbitrate, and curate. Man, that's like a hip-hop lyric. Anyways, political posts while also promoting free speech. Wait, okay. I get how contradictory that reads. Yeah, that was my first thought. But Reddit has rules that they want enforced, and unless we add 20 more mods, we are unable to do it well. Oh, Reddit. Is little Joe bowing down to the Reddit incels? Who the fuck cares what Reddit thinks? Most of the people on Reddit are absolute losers. You know, those people that make their lives Reddit? Worst human beings on the planet. They're as bad as Karens. I don't think anyone here wants more moderation and heavy-handed approach to what political posts stay and what go. We will be posting a daily thread that will be lightly, very lightly moderated and will allow topics, including politics, moving forward. If you have something political you want to say, please post it there. Guys, censorship, you know, free speech, these guys, and now they're censoring their own Reddit blogs. Okay. I've been a fan of the JRE since episode 7 and have been modding here since shortly after that. One thing I have learned is that people who will be more upset by this rule change are the very people who don't have Joe Rogan's best interests in hand. Keep in mind that they already over 5,000 politically focused subreddits on this platform. We don't need to be one of them. Thank you for your understanding and no hard feelings if you choose to leave. Wow. A guy that made his whole show political doesn't want things political on his little blog. Isn't that interesting? What will be interesting is seeing what comes next for Joe. where does Joe put his influence at? He has influence over all of this stuff, and maybe he's testing out Reddit to see how people respond, but I don't think it's going to go well. Here we go. Here it is right here, because I just want to read a little bit of the post before this one that I believe triggered all of this. Am I allowed to talk about being disappointed in Joe, especially if I have real-world interactions with him and the ramifications of his actions? Joe Rogan was instrumental in inspiring me to start doing stand-up comedy. So much so that one of my first mics I ever did was the Comedy Store back in 2014. As a kid who grew up in Northeast Ohio, I didn't even know about the club until I moved to LA and started to listen to his podcast. You could say he radicalized me to figure out how to get involved in stand-up. I eventually did Kill Tony too, back when Tony was more grounded and approachable. I got 1 or 2 laughs, but mostly bombed. But when I would see him around the store or the Improv, which I eventually worked at for a few years, he would say hi and encourage me to keep coming around. Things were so different back then because you still had lingers of the dead time, so people were approachable and noticed you were putting in work. Tony's show used to be more of a showcase mic too, where you could get stage time at the Ice House. There was no agenda. It was just comedy. And when he started doing shows regularly at the Improv, I got to see Joe and a lot of his crew way more. I think I once accidentally trapped him in a 30-minute convo about back stuff, but he was pretty gracious with his time. I think we all know what eventually happened to Joe and his podcast. The slow infiltration of right-wing grifters, coupled with COVID, it very much did change him. And I saw firsthand how that trickled down into the comedy community, especially one where he was instrumental in helping to rebuild. Instead of it being a platform to share his interests and eccentricities, I'm bad with that word, it became a place to share his grievances and fears. So again, for the mods or the people that feel their side of politics are being attacked because this side was the version of Joe, how can we not expect to be allowed to talk about this? Like, to me, it still blows my mind how different he is now as a person and how much damage he did, not just to the LA comedy scene, but American politics. There are friends of mine in the comedy community who I can't talk to anymore because of how resentful they've become due to COVID, or this war on woke. Comedy in general has gotten so much worse because of people trying to pander to the likes of Joe or Tony. The endless punching down. It's just exhausting. And the moment he up and left for Austin, it only furthered this growing divide with LA. Whether it was a spot at the mothership or on his pod, you started to see what other comics or right-wing grifters were saying or doing to get the attention of Joe. Again, for point of reference, even late into the first Trump administration, the comedy scene in LA was nowhere near as divisive or politicized as it is now. You just didn't have people punching down or blaming wokeness or cancel culture if they were shitty comics. So a community that Joe generally helped foster, he eventually poisoned when it didn't serve his needs. The store used to be such a cool place. Some shootings and general violence, as it gained popularity, again, definitely pushed it into a more corporate direction. But Joe didn't help. And instead of trying to fix things, he fled to Austin, made his own club. He literally has everything he wants, but doesn't seem happier. And to me, the damage he did to the comedy scene and the changes to the podcast, how is that any different than this sub? Do people really think this sub can go back to silly light chatter about aliens or conspiracies? Joe did this. How do the mods think we can pretend otherwise? Harmless conspiracies. Eddie Bravo's wacky rants, or having some random expert on to talk about something I didn't know of. That's why I listened to Joe. Along with getting insight into the LA comedy community. So yeah, for someone like me who remember when Joe wasn't political or maybe truly left-leaning, how are we just supposed to go back to the good old days? Or just pretend like whatever right-wing grift he is spreading isn't true? I know I can't. And honestly, seeing what he, and especially Tony, and parts of the LA comedy scene have become, it really disappoints me. Am I allowed to share that? Maybe Joe will make an episode and exonerate me. Folks, I've been saying these things. People have been trying to deny it. You've been saying these things. People have been trying to deny it. But wherever we look, we hear the same thing. Joe became the very thing he once talked about hating. And now he's trying to censor the thing he constantly talks about on his own subreddit. What a sad world we are in. Let us know what you think of Joe. Let us know why Joe is a bad person. Yeah, just let me know in the comments. Peace.